through this one without crying. Wow.
That's a good one.
I know. That was really beautiful. Thank you so much, Valerie and Substance. We appreciate it. We are so thrilled to have all of you here today. I am so thrilled to have all of you here today. As I said before, my name is Donna Summers, and I'm a senior, yay, here at Unity Institute. Woo! I say that with joy and trepidation all at the same time. Anyway, thank you for joining me today at the beautiful Fillmore Chapel, and I'd also like to extend a warm welcome to our live stream audience. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. So today, we're going to talk about change. To begin, I want to share a poem with you by Rebecca Del Rio. Some of you may have heard this before. It's called Prescription for the Disillusioned, and I think it describes how we get sometimes when we're ready for a change. Come to this new day. Remove the rigid overcoat of experience, the notion of knowing, the beliefs that cloud your vision. Leave behind the stories of your life. Spit out the sour taste of unmet expectation. Let the stale scent of what-ifs waft back into the swamp of your useless fears. Arrive curious, without the armor of certainty, the plans and planned results of the life you've imagined. Live the life that chooses you, new. Every breath, every blink of your astonished eyes. How many times have you felt disillusioned by the sameness of your life? This poem is challenging us to step up out of the stories and the unmet expectations, the overcoat of experience, and choose the life that chooses you. But gee, that would probably mean change, wouldn't it? I don't know about that. Sometimes change seems pretty scary, doesn't it? We're not sure what to expect, and the unknown can leave us making things up. And a lot of times we make it up a lot worse than it really is. We make up what will happen, what won't happen. It's kind of like the spookiness of Halloween. Many things seem scary in Halloween, right? But once you look at them and go a little bit deeper, you see that it's just an illusion. It's really not that scary. It takes faith to look at that something new and different, and it is precisely in that moment, the moment we decide to release the beliefs that cloud our vision, that is when we can experience amazing changes in our lives. You may have heard it said, life is change, growth is optional. Choose wisely. Life can be a really persistent teacher. We've all had that experience, I'm sure. When we fail to learn life's lessons the first time around, life has a way of repeating them for us to foster understanding. Isn't that just great? Another growth opportunity. Woohoo! Several years ago, I'm going to tell you a little story about me. Several years ago, my life was shaken up by some dramatic circumstances. I resisted the changes brought about by these events in my life, and I struggled with embracing this change. When I resisted the lessons, though, a veritable plethora of change flew into my life. Now, there was a time when I couldn't see that I really needed to make much of a change. I mean, I lived the very comfortable status quo life. I lived in the right neighborhood, had the right husband, my kids went to the right school, I drove the right car, all of those things. And then one day, I got an inkling that there was more to life than the baubles and tchotchkes that I had gathered together in my little nest. And I had to really look at it. And when I woke up, I realized that my marriage of 30 years was broken. Believe me, I was shocked, completely shocked. I met the closure of this marriage really with profound sadness and loss. How could something that I valued so much and believed to be forever cease to exist? Just cease to exist. Poof, gone. Or, other people saw it. I didn't. I mean, my sister gave me a doormat one time that said, "One big happy family lives down the street." You think I would have gotten it, right? She really did. I was like, oh, I don't know how this happened, right? So, I really did have to ask myself, how did this happen to me? I had worn my costumes very well, thank you. Or my mustache, yes. I've worn my costumes very well. All the roles I played. Mommy, wife, businesswoman, PTA, the whole thing. I looked really good doing that stuff. But when my marriage changed, everything I knew like that went completely out the window in a very short period of time. As much as I fought the changes, they just kept coming and coming. I finally realized, though, that the only change, the only constant, is change itself. And eventually I decided I had to embrace it because I didn't really have a whole lot of choice. Or did I? Actually, I did have choice. Now, I couldn't change the circumstances. That was a done deal. Couldn't change that. But two choices I had. I could lay down and wallow in it, and I did for a while. Or I could change myself. It sounded pretty scary, but it really seemed to beat the option for me of wallowing in it. It's just not my style very much. So I went on a quest to find my new normal. New normal. I remember my next door neighbor and I, she was also divorced, we used to talk about, well, what's the new normal for today? And in a way that was kind of freeing because we got to make it up and to see what the new normal was. The question I had to ask myself was, who am I when I'm not wife, mother, businesswoman, mommy, room mother? Who am I? When I'm alone, in the silence, just me and my shadow. And I do mean shadow. Have you ever asked yourself that question? So this is what I did. I read, I attended workshops about spirituality and relationships. I tried different religious experiences. I started dating again at 50. Yikes. It's pretty frightening. It turned out well, though. Thank God it turned out well. I sang, I danced, I laughed, I cried, and I started attending a Unity church. One of the things that I heard there was a Bible verse from Romans 12:2, and this is what it says. Do not allow this world to mold you in its own image. Instead, be ye transformed from the inside out by renewing or changing your mind. As a result, you will be able to discern God will within you, whatever is good and pleasing and complete. Well, I learned that this happened to be one of Charles Fillmore's favorite verses, and I can really see why. Because it's talking about real lasting positive change, not change from the outside as we do when we put on our Halloween costumes, or we may change our hairstyle, or maybe even our lifestyle to fit in with the latest trend and what everybody else is doing. This is a verse about change from within. I find that sometimes we can be our own worst enemies when it comes to standing in the way of positive changes in our lives. And why do you suppose we do this? Maybe it's fear of the unknown. Maybe we actually have an addiction to the present, even if it's not the best thing for us. It is so easy to fall into disillusionment when we can't see that we have any power at all over the changes in our lives, or we tell ourselves that we don't. I began to see that the true key to dealing successfully with outside change was to learn how I was going to respond to it from the inside. I knew it was time to go within and listen to that still, small voice that I call God. Now, during this quest for change and to embrace change, I was really blessed to find a great tool that helped me. It comes from the Native American oral tradition of the Shawnee Nation, and this method is used to enhance the effectiveness of change by understanding and using what the Shawnee call the 4 laws of change. I'd like to share those with you today. I'm going to put my glasses down over here. These 4 laws help me to get more clarity about what is mine to do as I grow in emotional and a spiritual intelligence here on this planet. I hope you'll find the process valuable as well. I first want to share with you what the 4 laws are, and then we're going to go a little bit deeper into them. The first law of change is change comes from within. We mostly know that, right? This means that you change, and I can't change you, and you can't change me. It's an individual process, so we know that. The second law for change is permanent change requires a vision. Now, we've had experiences, I know a lot of us, with vision maps and visioning. We learn a lot about that in Unity, and I find it interesting that the Shawnee Nation sees it as well. The way that they put it is, you have to hold a clear picture of what you really want, and you have to really focus on that, because if the new vision fades, it's hard to get back to it sometimes. And whenever trouble happens, we may go, we lost our vision. That's when you really have to focus on that vision. What is it? What did I really want? You know, here's an example. It's like, what if I envision great health, but I eat donuts 4 times a day? Probably that vision's not going to stick, is it? Not so much. And each time I can't button my pants, I'm reminded that I'm not doing that vision very well. So that's an example. The third one is a great learning must occur. This means that change is accompanied by a personal insight, and then, here's the clue, here's a different twist on it, shared with a larger community. So you actually have the personal insight, and then you share it with a larger community. Of course, we know that the learning really happens on the inside, but for lasting change to occur, share it with others who can support us in the change. The best way to demonstrate true change, of course, is through demonstration. An example of a great learning would be affirming to be more knowledgeable about a certain subject. Say you want to be a minister, and then actually showing up for school. That's a great demonstration. And people see that and go, oh, they must be serious about that. So the fourth one is really my favorite. I'm a little partial to this one. It's called a healing forest must be present. This means that for any permanent change to happen, we have to have the support of the larger community. And I'm going to explain what the healing forest is. The healing forest, to me, means our families, our friends, our teachers, our fellow ministers, other students. The healing forest is a singular voice of those that speak the truth with a capital T. But it is also one's inner voice that speaks that same truth with a capital T. The healing forest occurs when we recognize and are aware of the oneness with all that is. So let's look at this a little bit more, shall we? First one, change comes from within. Here is a brilliant quote, guys, from one of our finest gurus. It says, "Open your eyes, look within. Are you satisfied with the life you're living?" You know who said that? The great enlightened one, Bob Marley. Yep. Wisdom comes from everywhere. So what do you see when you look within? If you aren't happy with the results you're getting in your life, look at your thoughts, which create your actions, which create the results of your life. You've heard this someplace before, I bet, haven't you? The mind, that's where the possibilities begin to take form. The mind. We've all heard the affirmation, change your thoughts, change your life. An outpicturing of this process could be that not only do you experience positive change, but that people around you also start experiencing positive change because of some of the things that you're doing that are different and new. Change comes from within. Number 2, in order for change to occur, it must be preceded by a vision. Remember that one? But sometimes we think too small. We think like a frog that's at the bottom of the well, and he thinks that the sky is only as big as the top of the well. Well, if he climbed to the top, he would have an entirely different view, right? He'd see, oh my gosh, there's so much more out here. How many of us have felt that way sometimes, where we think, oh, this is all I can see, there's nothing else, oh no, there's no way out. Right, you know? But you got to climb, you got to have that vision. Sometimes we are like the frog, and we get caught up in our own fears and insecurities and old tapes about how we don't have any control over changing our lives. But once we have an idea or a vision, we're well on the way to creating really great changes. Be mindful of what you're planning, though, with those visions and the thoughts and actions that come with those visions. Are you planting visions that will serve you and serve your spirit? Or are you like the frog who only sees the sky from the bottom of the well? In order for change to occur, it must be preceded by a vision. Number 3 was a great learning must occur. We've had lots of great learning here at Unity Institute, haven't we? Yes. Of course, there are always abundant opportunities here. We had in Kansas City, Unity Institute, the whole world is full of learning experiences, which is really great. And learning is not only about just getting it, it's about sharing that learning with others through words and actions. I bet you that's why we get tests in school, so they know that we know, right? So here's some good news. Play is a really great way to learn. How many of you were raised in a school time whenever you were taught that the only way to learn was through hard work, determination? Sharing information was called cheating. It was not called cooperation. It was really not. But I was just cooperating, teacher, really? Yeah, that didn't work so well back then, did it? No fun allowed except on the playground. No fun. Think back to those times. How many of you learned a really, really lot, a great deal on those playgrounds? About who you were, what you believed, how you reacted with other folks. That's probably some of the greatest learning I ever got. When's the greatest learning for small children? When they play and create and let their imaginations develop. This is where the really juicy stuff comes from. Visioning often comes in the form of play while we're reading, dancing, singing, hanging out with our friends, taking a bath. I mean, all those things are great places to really get a hold of a good vision. Those aha moments are really needed and really a great learning, no matter where they come from. Another thing that helps us to have great learning is to remember this, the word play. And we just talked about play, but Reverend Mullis taught me this, P-L-A-Y. Please laugh at yourself. Yeah? I love this. Please laugh at yourself. Did you know that it's impossible to be angry and to laugh at the same time? Anger and laughter are mutually exclusive, and you are the one that has the power to choose which you want to do. So look for the learning in all situations, and then bless the experience with laughter. A great learning must occur. You may as well have fun doing it, right? And the last is create a healing forest. Remember, this is the state of mind when we are aware of the oneness as we act and be part of the oneness. The metaphor of the healing forest goes like this. What happens if you have a healthy little tree and it's trying to grow in a toxic forest? Let's say this tree is a thought or a vision of yours, and it's hanging out in your mind with thoughts of lack, fear, anxiety, not enough. That's kind of a toxic forest, yeah? Or maybe in your daily life, you're actually hanging out with people that don't support your aliveness the way that you would like. They don't hold that vision for you that you may hold for yourself. It's like planting a healthy little tree where the soil is tainted and there's no sun or rain getting to the tree. The temperature is too hot or too cold for this new thought, for this tree to thrive very well. And it will thrive, but it's going to be very difficult because there's nothing healthy to feed it. And there's nothing to reflect its own light back to it. So it's really great when we hang out in the healing forest and we can match each other's light. So let's talk about that. When we introduce that tree to rich, nourishing forest, a healing forest with healthy soil and good light and good water, lots of rain, a real life-affirming climate, our little tree will thrive. It will see its own reflection in the beauty of the other trees of healthy thoughts and affirmations, affirmative communications, and mutual respect. This is the forest of thoughts held in mind that we are seeking. Yes? We know from experience that the thoughts of the forest will reproduce after their kind. Heard that somewhere before, too. Here's a beautiful image for a healing forest from Richard Nelson in The Island Within. He says, "I've often thought of the forest as a living cathedral, but this might diminish what it truly is. The forest is not merely an expression or representation of sacredness, nor a place to invoke the sacred. The forest is sacredness itself. Nature is not merely created by God. Nature is God. Whoever moves within the forest can partake directly of sacredness, breathe sacredness, and contain it within himself." You know, I believe that being in the energy here at Unity Village with like-minded truth students is my healing forest. I'm sorry. We may not all agree on everything, but we are each on our own individual path, following truth with a capital T. Yes? Yes. Amen. And that feels like a very safe and healing place to be. So, ask yourself, what forest are you hanging out in? Is it one that encourages you to stay where you are? Maybe it encourages you to not grow, put the lid on it. Have you found that healing forest within yourself and without that will support your growth? So, why don't we prepare now to visit our own healing forest through meditation? Let's go within where we can just be. Let's open the door for growth and change. Begin by sitting in a comfortable position. Allow your body to relax. Imagine yourself walking on a path through a forest. The path is soft beneath your shoes, a mixture of soil, fallen leaves, pine needles, and moss. As you walk, your body relaxes and your mind clears. More and more with each step you take. Breathe in the fresh mountain air, filling your lungs completely. Now exhale. Breathe out all the air, feeling refreshed. Continue to breathe slowly and deeply as you walk through the forest. The air is cool but comfortable. Listen to the sounds of the forest. Birds singing, a gentle breeze blowing. The leaves on the trees shift and sway in the soft wind. Continue to breathe slowly and deeply as you become more and more relaxed. As you walk through the forest, feel your muscles relaxing and lengthening. Feel the tension leaving your body as you admire this beautiful healing forest all around you. As you walk on, up ahead is a large, smooth rock. It's like a chair waiting for you to rest. The rock is placed perfectly high up on this beautiful vantage point. Sit or lie down on the rock if you wish. It's very comfortable. You feel very relaxed and at ease. The sun shines down on you. Looking around, you see more mountains and forest in the distance, faint and blue. You realize that this healing forest goes infinitely on, and that you are part of it on every level. Continue to breathe the clean, fresh air. You feel so relaxed, calm, at peace, in unity with this healing forest around, in and as you. Enjoy this peaceful place in the silence. In the silence. When you are ready to come back to this time and place, slowly begin to reawaken your body. Know that you can reclaim this healing forest that supports you in your times of change, whenever you like, by just visioning it. Because, after all, you are one with the healing forest that you seek.